What's up everyone, this is Sapphire bringing you a really exciting match here. We've got crowd favourite Az, who's one of the best Protoss players in Australia and very highly decorated, did so well in the Trans-Tasman and a whole bunch of tournaments all throughout beta. And he's spawning as the red Protoss, and his opponent is none other than Strelok, who's a highly decorated, really amazing top pro from Europe, and he was really up there and a top player all throughout Brood War, did so well in the ESLs, and in Starcraft 2 he's just been playing absolutely amazing, and he played in the EU versus Asia show matches, so really looking forward to this match. And it's on Scrap Station, and I really love Scrap Station. I would say it's my favourite map behind Lost Temple, just because there's so much interesting stuff you can do, and there's like this really short air distance between the two bases and the destructible rocks. It's just really fun, but that's from a Zerg perspective. Now this is a Terran vs Protoss matchup, so be very interested to find out what these two players are going to throw at each other, because they're both such high level players, and it's a bit of a AU vs Europe rivalry here on the line. Interesting choice here by Strelok. He's going for not blocking off the ramp, which is always curious seeing that option as Terran, and the supply depot placement is interesting. He means he can raise this ramp, put Marines behind it and form a little pocket and put SCVs on either side of it, so it can be quite functional against Zerglings, and of course it means that he's gained that little bit of extra time while he puts down his barracks, and as opposed to running all the way to the ramp. Surprised to see the scouts didn't have a little dig at each other there, but no, it looks like he's going to get this barracks online, so we won't see a probe harassment of that building barracks there, which I wouldn't expect it would interrupt Strelok too much, but can be a little bit annoying, as Terran players will tell you. Looking pretty standard opening here, although Az has gone for that very fast gas, hasn't thrown down the second gate. I imagine we're seeing a Psy-Core coming out as we are, so it looks like he may be thinking about teching here. Strelok is stealing a few minerals just to be cheeky. And the interesting thing here is both players have gone for this super fast gas. Doesn't seem to be interested in throwing any kind of ground-based build. There's a couple of Marines coming out, but it looks mainly to deny the scout, make sure there's no kind of super fast harassment coming from Az. Throwing down a tech lab, so possibility of a fast Reaper here, especially with that early gas from Strelok, so I'll be very interested to find out whether he's going to go for Reaper or it's just to get fast Marauders online. Looks like Az is just being very standard here, just going by the income tab. He's up by a couple of harvesters, as you'd expect from Chrono Boost. He's not been using his Chrono Boost on an early Zealot or anything like that, but we are seeing a command center going up pretty fast here for Strelok, so that's a very aggressive opening, as he does get that Reaper online. So even if this harassment is not successful for Strelok, it means that Az will be on the defensive trying to counter this Reaper, but he will have his Stalker online. Still not using Chrono Boost on that. He's been using Chrono Boost on his probes, possibly even might think about burning it on Warp Gate now. But this Reaper is out, so we'll see how much damage this Reaper is actually going to be able to do. They are really annoying for Protoss when they only have Zealots, but Az does have that Stalker out. He will see it though, as these Marines deny that scout, so he is moving forward a bit, so it's just going to be a case of how successful he's going to be. But this Reaper's going to sneak past the Stalker. I like this. That's horrible timing for Az. We're sending that Stalker out to try and deny the scouting Marines, but no, this Reaper's going to come in. He will finally see it as this probe gets picked off. We'll see how many kills this Reaper's going to get. He's going to run straight into this Stalker. The Stalker's trying to kite the Reaper. Reaper's so low, so completely denied there. But by the same token, it did force Az to turn around his Stalkers, so quite a nice play there from Strelok, who's throwing up 3 racks and got his expansion online, managing some probes across here and getting Marine Marauder out and throwing a forward bunker. So I really like this opening from Strelok. Az, meanwhile, is throwing down 3 gateways and getting charge lots online. It's interesting, as opposed to getting blink stalkers first. That's an interesting choice there by Az, a little bit non-standard, but they will do really good against siege tanks, being able to close that distance really quickly. So if he was coming up against metal, which he isn't, he'd be doing really well there. But he's going to see this Marine Marauder ball. He's not going to see as many barracks online, but he will see that mixture there. So Az is actually bringing his own expansion online. I think this was a little bit delayed because there was that probe heading to his natural, as that Reaper came in, and that Reaper picked that off. So that slowed Az's build down. I believe he was trying to expand there, and he was pushing out, trying to get a little bit of map control, but he's seen that Reaper and has had to fall back. And he denied it really nicely with that little movement in his base, but it just put him on a little bit of defensive, slowed him right down, whereas Strelok is now in a really comfortable position. And you just see, even though he's slightly behind in the harvesters, he's massively up in the income count, 1200 over 700, while Az has moved to this rock position just to scout it, but is not destroying those rocks, which is a bit interesting, just trying to make sure there's no sneaky backdoor attacks coming on. But we are seeing that Templar Archives and the Chrono Boost is now being burned on that Psystorm. He was pretty famous throughout the Trans-Tasman for his use of Psystorm. He was so good at using that Psystorm against Moonglade. So it'll be interesting to see how effective his Psystorm usage is going to be against a Terran, especially considering it's Strelok. But at the moment, Strelok is very, very heavy in ground. He's even throwing up Engineering Bay and getting research online. So we're not seeing any kind of tech switch from Strelok, at least not yet. So it'll be interesting to find out how effective these High Templars are going to be. They are on the field now, but his forces are a little bit split. But these charge lots will make an interesting position, because he could be trying to completely pocket the Zealots in there, and then the run-by won't pick them up, and then he can pincer the attack. But you'd think that he would possibly hide them even on the ramp here, and then he can close when they come into the natural, and he can get it from both sides. He will pick up this movement on the rocks now, though, so Strelok is moving out here. He does have concussive shells online, but he's finally getting his first factory online that's very, very delayed. That might even just be so he can get further attack upgrades for his melee units here. So this probe is unfortunately going to be concussive shells, so it'll be interesting to see how effective this Psystorm usage is going to be. Scan going off, so he will catch the side of this High Templar, and now the army is predictably going towards his natural. It's just going to be how much damage they can do, looking to get a few probes even before they engage. Now we're probably going to see the Psystorm. He's a little bit trapped in this canal here. He's going to come down to the Psystorm, and there's 1-2 going off. The Zealots forming a wall, shredding those units. So many kills. That High Templar got 15 kills. A little bit of emergency micro here from Strelok, just trying to pick off that final Zealot, burning stim, but he goes down. Aslot lost a lot of units against this side of the natural there while the Marines and Marauders moved in, but they kind of trapped themselves. So I think Strelok was a little bit too clever for himself there. He got pincered in on this expansion, trying to get a few free hits, but the lock of the Zealot wall, followed by the 2 Psystorms, and you see that nice placement of the Psystorms with one behind and one forward, was just so effective. Az is just really, really known for his very effective Psystorm usage. And we are seeing a robotics facility going down, so interesting to find out whether he's going to pump possibly Immortals, even Colossi, if Strelok continues with his infantry build, which he is, and he has now got his 5th racks coming online. He did get a starport and a factory with a reactor, so he can pump out Hellions possibly, but not really seeing anything from there so far as he just commits to this ground build. 3 bunkers going up. With salvage, I mean, you can afford to do this. His income is just really, really nice right now. He's hurting for gas because he's been pumping these Marauders out so heavily and trying to get tech buildings online with these medevacs coming out now. But he can afford to throw down these 3 bunkers, even though it's a bit of a heavy investment, because he can just salvage them and put himself right back into the game. But it was an observer, so just for no Immortals coming out of there, just the observer coming online, so he's going to be able to see this. He's going to have to watch the missile turret, or that observer's going to be snacked on. But no, so far looks pretty interesting from both players, and Strelok using the factory to scout there. But at this point, it looks like a little bit of a standoff, as was delayed with that expansion and then the expansion harassment, despite the fact that he won that fight. Az is actually a little bit behind here, and we are seeing a nuke come online. Oh boy, Strelok throwing down the Ghost Academy and coming up with a nuke. So Az is really going to have to push out, because this nuke is at 30%, so